We all thought that the turtle had seen its last big screen glory. However, little did we know, throughout the 80s into the early 90s, Gamera had developed a bit of an attitude. I'm Demetrius, and welcome to the Brumakian podcast. This is an episodic review series where I can review anything, but not everything. That includes monster movies, both big and small, anime, and video games. This week is Gamera, Guardian of the Universe. Before we continue, I want to bring your attention to something. A fellow fan of kaiju by the name of Paul Tekken has gotten involved in a horrific car accident. Thankfully, he's on the road to recovery, but unfortunately, the things that are required for said road to recovery is a different story. Thankfully, Matthew Burkett of the Monstrosities YouTube channel has set up a GoFundMe page to raise the money for the spinal fusion surgery and the necessities to help Paul Tekken with his recovery. I have done my part in donating my own money to the GoFundMe page, and so should you. There will be a link in the description below that will send you to the page itself, so if you want to donate some money to help his recovery, you can do that. The money doesn't go to anyone except Paul Tekken himself. Thank you all, and Paul, may God give you the strength for a speedy recovery. Now, with that out of the way, on with the show, yes? Now, this is very strange because there is little that goes on behind the scenes of this film. So, like my old review, I've decided to make up my own story on how this turtle returned to the big screen. The ending of that movie in 1980 saw the death of the monster that the series was built around, Gamera. After that, the film did so poorly that another Gamera movie was out of the question. At the time, Dai Studios was in a financial rut since 1971 when they declared bankruptcy that year. However, it was not the end of the studio. Throughout the 70s and into the 80s, they could only produce a small number of films. Gamera's film in 1980 was one of them. After that, Gamera was on the downswing of things. He got fired by the studio because of his drug problems, lost his house, lost his car, and he spent his time mostly on the streets hoping that people would buy his old movies. That is, until 1985 that he started to turn things around. Throughout the late 80s into the early 90s, Gamera got his life back together and was actually living a happy retired life. That is, until 1995 that the same monster who inspired his creation came knocking at his door. Godzilla actually came over to celebrate the turtle's 30th anniversary, which was really nice of him, and offered him to come work at Toho. At first, he declined, but was told that the payoff would be worth it. From there, Gamera was on board. And now for the actual background of this film. Dai initially intended the film, which would celebrate the 30th anniversary of the turtle, as a low-budget kids film. However, one director managed to change their minds. That man was Shusuke Kaneko, Kaneko was born in 1955 in Tokyo and was a fan of science fiction films, specifically Godzilla and Gamera. When he became an adult and became a director in 1978, he directed some adult films, let's say, and he was brought onto the project. With him was a very ambitious special effects director named Shinji Higuchi. Higuchi actually had experience in tokusatsu when he worked as assistant modeler during the production of The Return of Godzilla in 1984. After that came music composer Kawatani. And after Gamera got himself a major makeover, along with Gauss, Gamera Guardian of the Universe was released in Japan on March 11, 1995, and was dubbed by ADV Films. And here's the strange thing about it, the film, in addition to being made by Dai, was also distributed by Toho. Sweet God's mother, what world am I living in? Anyhow, the film was a massive success, earning overwhelmingly positive reviews. But before I can get into my thoughts on the film, here is its plot synopsis according to IMDb. Omega, if you please.
An ornithologist investigates reports of a monstrous new species of bird, just as a teenage girl is gifted an amulet found on a mysterious atoll. As the creatures begin to attack, an ancient guardian named Gamera, with a bond to the girl, emerges. And from there, it would only be a matter of time until the two forces clash in head-to-head combat.
Holy moly, this was a breath of fresh air in the same way that the return of Godzilla was back in 1984. It's so nice to see a fresh take on the turtle, and dare I say it, but I think this trumps anything that the King and Toho had offered before. And you know what? I'm not even mad. The human characters are above the standard good than what I was expecting. Each of them have their own personalities, reasons for doing their actions. Though, if I had to nitpick for a little bit, they did kind of felt unnecessary by the end of it, but it doesn't take away from the experience of the monsters. Speaking of, I love the new design for Gamera, although those eyes are a tad too big for me. Gauss, my goodness, at night, even in daylight, that thing is creepy as fuck. Especially that face. I don't know why, but somehow, a monster fight in broad daylight is actually really good. The shots at night are well done as well, and they are elevated by the music. Kamatani is a genius, and this is the same guy who composed the PS2 game Shadow of the Colossus. I like the marches, I love Gamera's new theme song, and I enjoyed the hell out of the battle music. Also, I love the addition of the guitar in the orchestra. Overall, Gamera Guardian of the Universe is by far one of the best monster movies in what feels like forever, but I would say since Godzilla vs. Biollante. Although it is far from perfect, some of the effects and green screen do look a bit outdated, but it didn't take away from the experience. Would I watch it again if it came out in theaters? Hell yeah, without delay, and you should too. Sadly, in the same year as one monster has made his triumphant return, another is about to meet his end at the hands of the Grim Reaper himself, while simultaneously facing off against Satan himself. You all know what it is. And I'm gonna need a tear bucket for this one. Until then, thank you all for watching / listening. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more of the Brumakian podcast. This has been Demetrius signing off, and long live the turtle.